Welcome into another edition of SeanMatthew's podcast. We have our co-host back again, Joe Thurman. How you doing today, Joe?
Not bad, Sean. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. I actually just got back from the movies. Saw a movie called The Fabelmans. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. It's based loosely on his life. It's an autobiography. I got to say, this movie was phenomenal. It was amazing. It's just a really well-made movie. And I have so many questions because I'm like, what did this really happen to Spielberg, and what happened to Spielberg, and how loosely was it based on his life? But I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. It was a coming of age story. I'm frustrated because it's not playing. They say it's supposed to be released in the whole world. It's supposed to be worldwide, all theaters, at least in the United States, domestically. But it wasn't in the AMC in Princeton. So I had to drive to Pennsylvania to see it. And
Jeez.
Pennsylvania, it sounds crazy. I drove to another state, but it's really almost the same distance as the Princeton theater. But
That's true. We are on the edge. Yeah.
I can't figure out why it's not in the AMC in Princeton, because there's a lot of older movies in that theater. There's all the new ones too, but they have older movies that shouldn't be in theaters anymore. I don't know if they have a contract obligations to the movies that are in theaters now, but The Fabelmans should absolutely be in that theater. I'm not sure why it's not. I have to look at other AMC theaters to see if it's not in all the AMCs. But AMC, if you're listening, if anybody from AMC hears this, please get The Fabelmans in all your theaters. It was a great movie.
Fableman, huh? I'm gonna have to check it out.
The Fabelmans, yeah. So instead of it being called the Spielbergs, he called it The Fabelmans.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a Jewish family. It's basically about him as a young filmmaker and how he gets into filmmaking. It's a coming of age story. It's honestly, very, very good movie. I walked out just smiling, just very happy.
Now, did he grow up in New York City?
To be honest with you, I don't know a ton about Steven Spielberg. I don't know a lot about him. I just know he's a phenomenal filmmaker and director.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know the area, but in this movie, he grows up pretty much in Arizona on the West Coast, and then he ends up in Los Angeles. So this takes that's where questions come in, right? It's like, did he grow up on the West Coast, and how loosely based is it?
Yeah, I always pictured him as growing up as a little Jewish kid in New York City, and that's just what I pictured. I don't, but there you go. That's one of the reasons why
in the movie the dad's kind of like a scientist. He's very intelligent. So I don't know if Steven Spielberg's dad is a scientist too, or was a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a lot of moving. So I don't remember in the very beginning where they were living, but no, the majority of his life in this movie was adolescence. Was basically in Arizona.
Okay.
But while we're on the topic of movies, I guess why not? Because we opened the show with it. We did this last show and I really enjoyed the segment. Today we're going to put a spotlight on Edward Norton. Joe really likes the actor Edward Norton. And I guess just jump right into it. What are your top 5 Edward Norton movies, Joe?
Okay, well, let me just say what spurred my idea, because these aren't necessarily, like last week we did Pacino, and for, me, my all-time favorite is Robert De Niro, and I'm going to save that for some other week. And we're not necessarily going to do this every week, but I saw a little commercial for something called Glass Onion, and it's based on the Knives Out movie. And Edward Norton, I saw Edward Norton. I said, yeah, I love that actor. He does a lot of different things. I said, this week I'm going to have him as my subject. So I'm going to do we're not going to spend a ton of time on each one, but I'm just going to give you my top 5. Edward Norton, one of our best actors in this quarter century. Top 5, right? Number 5, The Illusionist. I thought it was pretty clever, pretty neat. It was something that it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do remember enjoying that one. Number 4, this one was really cool and it was different. Spike Lee did this one. It's called The 25th Hour. It was
That was a great movie.
Yeah, it was about a guy that got in trouble and he was sentenced to jail, and it was about his last day before going in, and everything he went through, the torment he went through, and so forth. And it was different. And anything Spike Lee does is pretty cool. All right, number 3, I liked it because it showed Edward's versatility. It also had some subject matter that was, as someone who hates hate, I don't hate anything. The only thing I hate is hate itself. And in the movie American History X, he plays a fella who was a white supremacist, and
that's an awesome movie.
He does he has a come to Jesus type of moment, and
how about the scene where the curb stomping? Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's full of and it's full of some really neat scenes and stuff. And I just love the fact that he changes his viewpoints, and then he tries to change the viewpoint of his younger brother. It's just real. That's really a tremendous movie. The next one down, there's two left, and my number one is going to surprise some people because people might say, which one? But number two is The Fight Club. Of course, everyone's seen The Fight Club, you know. There are two rules to Fight Club. You know, everyone's seen The Fight Club, and that was pretty cool. My number one, Edward Norton movie, and I think it may be one of his first that put him on the map, but some of the finest acting I've ever seen. He's in a movie with Richard Gere and
Primal Fear.
Laura Linney, Primal Fear. And I get chills down my spine when I see that every time I see it. I'm not even going to ruin it. I'm not even going to spoil it for people because I think there's a large faction of folks who may not even have seen that. It's called Primal Fear. He plays a character. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. You continue talking after I just make this point.
No problem.
Not really a point, but I rented Primal Fear from Blockbuster. It had been out for a little bit. Then I rented it from Blockbuster. So I just clearly remember renting that movie from Blockbuster because my best friend worked at Blockbuster. My best friend, Matt, worked at Blockbuster back in the day. So I used to get some deals on some rentals and whatnot. But anyway, Joe, continue your point.
That's okay. It just shows, and you want to talk about versatility. You got versatility within the same movie, the same character, the two sides of him, and how he was able to manipulate the system. But in a way, you think, geez, he just manipulated. I'm not going to give anything away, but you can say, well, no wonder. Look what happened to him. It involves the Chicago clergy. It involves, and I am a Catholic. It just had the movie happens to involve some Catholic clergy in the city of Chicago and some children in the altar boys and so forth, and some of the things that happened. And it's just a fascinating movie and a great bit of acting and a hell of a cast. And I just think it's my number one. And I think it should be number one, not for its popularity, because like I said, a lot of people probably haven't seen it yet, or it probably skipped right by them. People, check that movie out. It's amazing. And it's got a hell of a cast. I mean, Richard Gere and Laura Linney. Laura Linney, I always thought
she's
was
from
a
Ozark,
sweetheart.
right?
I don't know where Laura Linney's from, but I always just thought she was.
I don't think you haven't seen the show Ozark, but if you haven't, it's an amazing show. It's highly recommended by a lot of people, including me. I believe Laura Linney is in that show. I'm thinking of the same actress.
And it's funny. It's funny, Sean. I just want to say one thing before I forget this. And this is it's not really off to the side, but Richard Gere has done a lot of different stuff. And it just reminded me of a movie that he did that I'm sure a lot of people have never seen. And it was based on a true story. And anybody who loves dogs, anybody who knows me knows I love dogs. Dogs are like little kids running around. To me, a dog is tantamount to a toddler. I mean, how could anyone be? So, I mean, you got to love dogs and just the way they wag their tail and they have real personality. Anyway, there's a movie that Richard Gere did, and it's about a true story of a college professor in Japan around the turn of the century, right, early 1900s, who owned a dog, and the dog was his name was Hachi, Hacce, I believe, Hachi, but it's called Hachi, A Dog's Tale, and what it is, it's an Americanized version of this true story that happened in Japan about a college professor and his relationship with his dog. And I'm telling you, it's if you love dogs, it'll get to you.
How did the Hachi come up in your memory? What
Oh, you can't forget that name. And it's A Dog's Tale, Tale.
Wait,
right?
So what did it have to do with Edward Norton?
Well, it had to do with Edward Norton because we were talking about Primal Fear. Okay. In the movie Primal Fear, Edward Norton is in jail, right? And his lawyer is Richard Gere.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Richard Gere.
Like,
so I'm saying I just went from Primal Fear to the cast of Primal Fear.
Okay.
Richard Gere was one of the cast members.
Yep.
Right. And I just out of the clear blue, I wanted people, whenever I remember, to turn people on to the Hachi.
Hachi.
Yeah. So it's called Hachi, A Dog's Tale. Richard Gere is in it. It's amazing if you love dogs, and it's based on a true story. Now,
No,
let me
dude,
come back to
I'm absolutely gonna check that out.
yeah, try to have some Kleenex with you, brother, because and you know me, I'm no pushover, but if you love dogs, and it's based on a true story, and you want to talk loyalty, how loyal
Yeah,
dogs
they're the
are.
best.
Yeah. So, but that's it. Let me just run through them one more time. My top five Edward Norton movies: for 5, Illusionist; 4, 25th Hour; 3, American History X; 2, Fight Club; 1, Primal Fear. Time's yours.
Yeah, it's one of those things where last week we just, I let you do your thing and give you your top 5 Pacino, but I like to give a little history about the actor. So Edward Norton was born in Boston, I believe, in 1969. I think he grew up in Maryland, actually, not Boston. That's what it says on the IMDb. But literally, like, his first big break wasn't until 1996, and that was actually Primal Fear. That was like his first big break. And it's amazing that he had such a big role in this feature film, unless IMDb's not showing his other films, how he started.
And did he crush it, Sean? Did he
Oh
crush
my
that?
God, yeah, yeah. That's like, but then he was in 1996. He was also in People vs. Larry Flint. He was in American History X. Then he was in Rounders. One of my all-time favorite movies is Rounders. Is I love poker. I'm a poker player.
Right.
A beginner at that, but I love poker. But I saw Rounders before I fell in love with poker. My friend was like, "This movie's amazing," and he was playing poker, and like I watched it, didn't even need to really be in the poker to love it. But that movie, like, if it's a phenomenal movie. So then Fight Club was 99. He was in The Score. I'm surprised, Joe, in your top 5. You didn't say Death to Smoochie wasn't in your top 5. I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah, I don't even think I've seen it. I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
You're being funny with me because I don't.
Just because it's got a good. I'm pretty sure Robin Williams is in it. Yeah, Robin Williams. It's just a really weird movie.
Okay.
But it's like, I was just being completely joking around. But then he was in Red Dragon. I actually saw Red Dragon in the movies. That's a spinoff of Hannibal. One movies, the 25th Hour. So it's like these actors, just the common theme is like you find these actors and they don't really hit their stride and their peak in their career until they're around 30 years old. And then 30 years old, they get rolling. And then they have a period of like a decade or so where they just have hit after hit. I'm not saying Edward Norton's not relevant these days, because he is. He's obviously he's picking and choosing what he wants to be in, because he's at that level. He's a phenomenal talent and actor. But, he starred in The Incredible Hulk. He played Bruce Banner. So he got the big role as the Hulk, right? But like, if you just go through the decades in the career, he was in The Bourne Legacy. But then we're getting to the 2000s. He really slowed down in being an actor in movies. He probably was a personal decision. I'm not sure if he got married, had a family, or what the story is. He's actually a voice in a movie called Sausage Party. It's a Seth Rogen animated movie, but it's like funny. It's for adults. But I haven't seen that movie. I have to check that out.
I haven't either.
But just one of those things, another movie he's in, which is actually supposed to be pretty good, called Motherless Brooklyn. What happens with me is I'm so obsessed with reviews. So if I see reviews that aren't the score that I want it to be, and it's not worth my time, even though it's probably, it's subjective, I could really enjoy the movie, because there's been several movies that I enjoyed, the reviews don't match up. I'll avoid the movie, but I really have to focus on different things like, okay, Edward Norton's a phenomenal actor. I'm going to see whatever he's in. I got to see what he's up to. So I got to go back. I got to watch Motherless Brooklyn.
Yeah, don't let anyone else make the decisions. That's the only thing I have against these ratings and everything. And I know you like your ratings, and it's cool, and we all consult the ratings, but don't let the ratings be the be all to end all. Because many a times you like something and it's got 2 stars out of 5, and you like it. And that's all that matters. Sometimes the ratings are accurate, sometimes they're not. I would use them as a guide, but I wouldn't exclude anything just because of the rating. That's A. And B is this Motherless Brooklyn. I think I saw that, and I think it wasn't like a total knockout, but it was pretty cool. Tell me about that one, so to see if it's the same one I remember. Tell me a little bit about it. Do you have it at your fingertips?
I haven't seen it, but I'll look up the.
I swear I saw that about 5 years ago, maybe.
No, it came out in 2019.
Okay. About three and a half.
It takes place in 1950s New York. A lonely private detective afflicted with Tourette's syndrome He
Yes.
tries to solve a murder of a mentor and his only friend.
Yes. I saw, and it's one of those ones, if you're grading a paper, if you're a teacher, you're going to give it a solid B. It's not an A, it's not A plus, but it's a solid B, and it's worth especially if you like Norton. It's a good. I watched it. I remember the Tourette's now. Yeah, I remember it. It was a good movie. But like I said, he's been in a lot, and that's why it's hard sometimes to give a top five. But that's why top fives are subjective.
Yeah.
But those were my top five.
I appreciate you sharing for sure, because I really I'm enjoying this segment because I'm learning what actors you like and what movies it kind of takes me down memory lane. I go look up their IMDb, I see what they're in. I'm like, oh my God, I saw that. I heard this movie. And then I learn a little bit about their history, when they were born, things like that. So,
and you never know what can branch. Like I just turned you on to
exactly
the Hachi, A Dog's Tale. Sean, I know you love dogs. I love dogs. And the beauty of this one is not only is it moving, it's based on something that really, really happened, and it's tremendous, and it's going to get you. I can promise you that.
Yeah. So we'll move on from the Edward Norton actor segment.
Right.
But it's one of those things where me and you are always talking about things like that annoy us, like our pet peeves. And, what are some of your, we don't have to give a list, but like, what are some of your pet peeves, Joe?
We talk about this, and I want to do this every time, but maybe every third or fourth. There's just things that, you follow sports and you watch sports and you get this and you get this analogy and you get the paralysis by analysis. How many times have you heard this one where guys say, give me your Mount Rushmore of defensive ends? Or who's on your Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks or anything like that? I just wanted to take for a second and ask you something. How many presidents have there been? 46, right? 46. How many faces are on Mount Rushmore? 4.
4 or 5, right?
4, right?
Okay.
So 4 out of 46. I mean, if it were 44, it would be 11%. It's like 11.5%. All right. So you're talking about pick 4 guys out of 46. If I say to you, what's your Mount Rushmore of running backs? Do you know how many goddamn running backs there have been?
So I kind of agree with you on this. Like
numerically, it's crazy.
When people put you on the spot and want you to give them like lists, right? Like, what's your Mount Rushmore? What's the all time great? And you're like, you have to rack your mind. You don't have a lot of time to think about it. And there are people walking around with like their Mount Rushmore and their list in their head already. And it's just automatic because they just say it, that's what they know. But I'm not walking around thinking of like greatest and these lists and everything. And
well, not only that, Sean, it's just the math. It's just like your Mount Rushmore of presidents. Okay, there have been 46. Okay, I'll pick 4 of them. That's, so it's 11.5%.
Are you more annoyed that?
But let me finish the thought here mathematically. Yeah. If you're going to say, give me your Mount Rushmore, give me 4 guys that played quarterback that you're going to put up here, you're picking 4 out of several hundred. So it's ridiculous. So if you want to pick your Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, right? You're going to have on your Mount Rushmore, you're not going to have, if you're going to pick 11.5%, you're going to have about 45 or 50 guys up there to represent that 11.5%. I'm just saying ratio wise. It's so crazy.
Is the pet peeve, are you more annoyed that they're putting you on the spot? Or are you more annoyed that they don't get that there's like more than 4?
The latter. I'm really annoyed because it's such a ridiculous comparison to say, geez, give me 4 guys. Well, I'm giving you 4 out of 46. That's 11.5%, right? If you're asking me how many running backs there have been, probably really after decade of all those teams and all those years, probably maybe over 1,000. So now I'm going to pick, you're asking me for Mount Rushmore running backs that have been maybe 1,000, right? Maybe even more. My Mount Rushmore is going to have to be 100 guys, not 4. You know what I mean? It's the math. It's the ratio.
Okay.
It's the ratio that's unrealistic. That's just one of my pet peeves. That if you're going to ask me,
what if the phrasing was different? What if they didn't say Mount Rushmore? What if they're like, hey Joe, give me your top 20? Would that be more reasonable?
That's more reasonable. But don't use Mount Rushmore. It's the phraseology of using Mount Rushmore as an example. Because think about it again. You got four presidents out of 46 men who've ever done it. 11.5% representation, right? So if you're going to say, come over here in how many pitchers there have been in baseball through the centuries, through the decades, excuse me, right? Through over the last century, how many pitchers in baseball? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800. I don't know, quite a bit. So 800 pitchers, and that's not an that may be a conservative estimate right there. Let's say it's 800 pitchers, right? You're going to have 90 guys up on your Mount Rushmore. So it's just that the Mount Rushmore. I just wish they would do something different with that and stop using the phrase Mount Rushmore.
Now,
because it's
now
the
that
ratio
I know,
that irritates the hell out of me.
Now that I know that's one of your pet peeves, if I ever want to piss you off, I have that in my arsenal now. I'm just gonna say, hey, Joe, what's your Mount Rushmore of fucking tacos or something?
And let me let that go. It's just that thing. It's just like, hey, Mount Rushmore is 4 guys out of 46 fellas. All right, let's not use that anymore. If you want to say, give me your top 10 that you think, say top 10 or whatever it is, top 20, whatever. But stop using Mount Rushmore because it's a ridiculous comparison because the ratios are way off. Now, my next thing is legacy. I have written down here. All right, legacy. Let me tell you something. Back in the day, and I don't want to sound like an old curmudgeon, but back in the day, guys came in like Julius Erving and Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? And Robert Parrish and Isaiah. This is just basketball. I can go to football, and I could talk about it. But guys came in to their professional sport, and they came in, and what was on their mind was how they could improve themselves, right? With one goal in mind, to take their team and to win a championship with their team. Okay? They never even thought about what their legacy was going to be till they were retired. Now you've got guys coming in here who are rookies that are just overcome with and consumed with, what is my legacy going to be? I mean, you want to talk about the most anti-team, selfish, arrogant. It pisses me off to no end that these kids come in here and what's on their mind is, what's my legacy going to be?
Well,
right?
Don't
It's
you
like,
think there's
how many rings, how many championships can I have, man? Because if I go to this team and then I jump over to that team and I jump to that team, I'm going to have more rings and more championships under my belt for my legacy. And I think that drives me insane. I don't think I know a lot of the guys who come in and made these leagues what they are looking at this shit saying, I don't believe that these guys, they never even thought about their legacy till after they retired, right? It was an afterthought. They were consumed with, I'm going to do what I need to do to help my team win championships for us. These kids come in today, I wonder how many championships I can win because what's my legacy going to be? It's disgusting. I can't stand it. Next issue, and I'll let you can chime in on any of these later. I'm just going to run through my list, right?
No, I'm just
what I mean.
What's our legacy in the podcast game going to be?
Yeah, you say you're okay. You're doing the same thing you did before.
You're
the best. It's okay. I got you.
You're giving me low hanging fruit. I know it's a joke.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean, Sean, and it's a valid point. It really is. I can't ever imagine. Never mind. I just can't. I can't ever imagine.
Do you have any driving pet peeves when you're driving? Things that annoy you about other drivers?
No, I'm not finished my list. Right? Okay. This demeanor. I was just the other night when we talked about the fella that came up behind the other guy and he pushed him. On the Lakers. I forget his name.
Oh, Patrick Beverly.
Beverly
shoved DeAndre.
Beverly's a little bit of a loose cannon, yes. But you know what? In this situation, the only problem I have with Beverly is he clipped this guy from behind. I do not have a problem with Beverly knocking that guy on his ass, or at least trying to. You know why? Because that guy was standing over another guy looking down on. All this bullshit with these clowns that they go up and they slam dunk and they have to stare down the other guy. Julius Erving never did that. Michael Jordan never stared down the other guy. These guys go up for a routine dunk, and they have to come down and open their mouth real wide like I'm a badass, and then they have to stare at the guy that was defended. Okay, so you jumped 3 inches higher than me, and you're able to slam on me. That means you got to stand there and stare me down like you're a badass. I just think it's a joke, and half these clowns are tall. Yes, they're tall, but they're about 175 pounds. and they're 6'4". Then these aren't powerhouses. These aren't, I just don't get it where they think they're badasses, and it's a joke. So I don't have any problem with Beverly. My only problem is he clipped the guy from behind. I wish he'd have come up to his face and knocked him on his ass, and that's what you get for standing over my guy, because you did not need to stand over him and humiliate him. Okay? Because we're not out on the goddamn playground anymore. I don't want to hear any bullshit about, well, that's how we do it here, or that's how we used to do it there. You know what? That's why people get shot too. When you're in the middle of a basketball game, how did someone pull out a gun and shoot somebody? Because it is stupid shit. All right, you play the game, you play hard. If you dunk over somebody, you dunk over somebody. You don't stand there and stare them down or anything like that. Can you tell it gets me aggravated a little bit. All right, well, it is, because it drives. I can never imagine the people who brought these leagues to what they are and the real class. I can't imagine them doing stuff like that. Okay, and to me, I mean, Julius Erving is, and not everybody's but even Magic Johnson, okay, even Parrish, even Danny Ainge, who was a little antagonist prick, is what he was on the court. He was, but he didn't do. I mean, you just don't do that. All right. Once in a while, guys would jaw at each other. They jaw at each other, but you just don't go in. Oh, I just slammed over you. You were playing defense on me. I jumped 3 inches higher than you, and I got the dunk off. That means I'm going to stand there and look at you. Or if you fall and you slip, I'm going to stand there and look down at you. You're a punk ass, is what they are. Anyway,
sometimes that you don't realize the backstory of these things. Sometimes throughout the game, the other guy who he's standing over has been antagonizing him, has been annoying him, has been pestering him, has been frustrating that player, and they're just taking all their anger out, and like the culmination of that dunk is kind of just stand over the guy and let him know that you just did that. I get why you're mad, but there's usually a backstory. Like, they don't just do it for the hell of it, unless they're just
I'm going to say that you're right I'm going to say you're right that there's a backstory sometimes, but I'm going to say the majority of the time this part of the whole deal now. They want to stare somebody down, or they want to act a little too, standing there with their mouth wide open, like, I'm a beast, man. I'm a beast. Well, first of all, you're over 7 feet tall, right? I mean, if you can't dunk, then you don't even belong on the basketball court if you can't. I mean, and so what? I mean, and that's another thing too. These guys are, I mean, listen, I'm just a shade under 6'1". I cannot dunk, but if I could, but if I were that tall, I'd be tearing the rims down. But it's not a big deal. When you're that tall, you should be able to dunk. And really, dunking a basketball when you're that tall is not worthy of people. I mean, you see these guys dunking, and the whole teammates they're rolling over each other, and oh my God, I can't believe what he just did. That's superhuman. Jesus Christ, what are you talking? And excuse me, Father, for saying the word Jesus Christ out loud. But I mean, no, it's not that superhuman, dude. You're 7 feet tall and you slam dunked on it. If you lower the rim to 8 feet, I'll be doing 360s and slamming, and I don't expect people to be going, oh my God, rolling over and falling. It's just ridiculous. It's a joke. Anyway, so, now I'm done with that. I just want to take you through.
Let's not do all your pet peeves tonight. Let's save some for a future episode, because I like how passionate you're getting about it. But one thing, you got me thinking about something that happened in the NCAA tournament last year. Mm-hmm. There's a player at a small school who made the tournament called Bryant University. His name is Peter Kiss. He's a white guy, and he was showboating. He was playing Wagner. And he was showboating. He was.
Oh, and incidentally, what I said applies to everybody, not just not just
African
Americans.
I know.
It's white players, it's Latino players,
it's everybody. Yeah,
okay.
I'm saying
I just want to
he's a white
clarify
guy because it's one of those things where there's not like a ton of good white guys in basketball at a high level, and they're certainly, when they're good, they're not being arrogant and cocky, and they're just kind of like, they're like being like white guys, basically, not the stereotype, but they don't have as much personality and flair to their game. Not everyone, but this particular player, Peter Kiss, he happened to be a white guy, and that's why everyone got a kick out of him, basically because he was a white guy. He was on a small school. He played a smaller school who wasn't that good, Wagner, and every time he scored, he was like flexing. He was getting super pumped up. He was taunting the crowd. It was even when he made layups, it was getting out of hand. He was doing the thing that you just said. He was standing over people. But everyone got a kick out of him because his name is Peter Kiss. Because the name Peter Kiss, you're like, okay, that's an interesting name, Peter Kiss. He's white. He was in the NCAA tournament. He's in the spotlight. But then he's taunting all these players who, they're a lower level school like he is, not like he's anything special, because he couldn't even like make it at Rutgers and other. He went to like 2 previous schools. He wasn't really good enough for those programs to survive and thrive. And then he comes out of nowhere in the NCAA tournament. He's like taunting everybody. Just funny that you brought that up, the pet peeves, and this guy was like top of my mind for someone who was doing that recently. But yeah, one things that annoy me about pet peeves that comes to mind is driving. A lot of things happen to be when I'm driving. I don't like when people don't put their signal on. I don't like when they have too much road rage. I don't like when I'm in the left lane and I'm just passing somebody and I'm there for a second and I know I'm going to get back to the right lane. If someone comes up behind me from the left lane, they have to get to where they're going. It's the most important thing in the world. They tail me and they start honking at me and putting their brights on at me like I'm doing something wrong. It's like, I'll get over in a second. I have road awareness. I'm going to get over as soon as I recognize that you have to get where you're going and I'm in your way. I don't want any trouble on the road. But it's funny that, you're talking about pet peeves. So Joe's kind of like a joker and like, sometimes. And one time I was on the phone with Joe. It was at night. I'm driving home and there was a guy tailing me. Tailing me. Mm-hmm. And it's at night. It's kind of scary when someone has even if they don't have their brights on, if their lights are on your rear view mirror, it's going to like blind you a little bit. And this guy was tailing me. It was on a road where I had to be on the road for at least like 10 miles and he wouldn't get off my ass. And then I'm on the phone with Joe and I'm like, dude, this guy's tailing me. What the hell's going on? And you tell me that you just saw a news story where a guy had road rage. Another driver was annoying him. And he gets out of the car at the traffic light, goes up to his car and like literally goes up to his window and like shoots him.
Yes.
And you tell me this gentleman, whoever this was tailing me. And you put the thought in my mind where, there's a possibility that some guy every time I was at the traffic light, I was nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta lock my doors. I have the windows closed. Some guy could get up, he can get up out of his car and come up to my window and like want to attack me. But it's just funny because you brought that up when I was driving that night. It was like, sometimes you do, stuff
you
like that. You
questioned the timing, but you questioned the time. We spoke about that about 2 weeks after that. And you questioned the timing. Like, why did you do that? But my point was, I wanted to tell you right then and there, because I didn't want you to overreact, maybe in anger, like, why you following me type thing, and get involved.
No, I'll never do that. Yeah.
But see, I didn't even want to take the chance. I wanted to bring it to I wasn't trying to scare you in that sense. I was trying to make you aware that, hey, dude, because you're saying this guy was tailing you. And the first thing I thought of was I put myself in that car, like in place of you. And I'm thinking, what would I want to do? I want to do right now, stay calm and not engage this joker. Why? Because road rage, it doesn't matter how big, how small, how badass somebody is or anything. And you get someone with a temper and they have a firearm, and it could be all over. And especially these days, you see it all over the news. It's just crazy. I've really, because I used to get involved a little bit here and there. Of course, I'm getting older and I'm mellowing with age. But the more and more I'm seeing stories about road rage, the less and less I'm engaging. And sometimes it's very difficult. But my point is to bring it back home, Sean. I was trying to make you aware. Hey, buddy. Road rage is a real thing. Don't engage this joker. Get out of the way. Pull over to the side. If you remember me saying
you certainly accomplished your goal, because I was like scared. I was like, you got me. It was late at night. It was like, what the hell? I don't want to have this thought in my mind right now, but I know where you're coming from. You're looking out for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's what that was. I wasn't trying to spook you out.
Yeah. So I want to bring up another topic with you. Have you noticed when you're dealing with customer service lately on different various companies, whenever you have to call customer service, do you notice that they're not really like being as friendly and they're pushing back? They're not they're not pleasing the customer right away when you say like, I'm going to leave the company. I'm going to go use another website. I'm going to use another app. I don't want to use your company anymore. And they're like, okay, do what you want. And they're not like saying, come back. We want you. And they're not giving you coupons. They're really just being like very like stingy lately. Have you noticed that?
I haven't been on the phone with customer service with anything recently. It seems like that goes in spurts where you're making 2 or 3 calls in a matter of a month or 2, or you go the longest time without. And with automation these days, for service here and press for that, and it's not uncommon to do the whole thing with automation. Anyway, I haven't spoken to anyone recently, but there again is something a couple of times in my life, I've flown off the handle when I felt that way, though, Sean, because I have felt that way. I think we all have. But recently, I can't give you any recent report on it, because I just haven't been. But there's nothing worse than getting one of those folks that gives you that feeling.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, wow, I can't believe they're not like just giving me like a coupon or something, something simple. They're really just like, okay, like, do what you want or have a nice day. But back in the day, the general attitude was like, oh, sir, calm down. And it's like, we'll take care of this. Now it's like, at least with a lot of different companies, it's like they're not. Let's give an example. So Zoom, the first podcast I recorded was the beginning of November. And during the podcast, I was using Zoom. I was still new to it. I was trying to figure out what recording will be saved, all that type of stuff, the cloud storage. And then while I'm recording the podcast, it says you have a 40-minute time limit. It's going to run out. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is the first podcast. It has to go well. We got to get this released. I can't have anything cut off. So I go on Zoom. And as I'm talking, I had another co-host that day. It was the first episode. It's going to be bonus content in the future if I release it. But let's just say me and Joe Thurman are doing a better job than that first podcast. There's a lot to learn, but I basically ended up committing $60 to Zoom while I'm recording the podcast live. I clicked, right. I have to have Zoom Pro. It has 5 gigabytes of cloud. It has this amount of unlimited recording time and this and that. And I can't really read all the features, but I'm like, okay, I get this. So then, I'm putting in my credit card information. I'm subscribing. Then I realized, okay, how much, space will the storage of these recordings? How much space will it take up? How much do we need? Is 5 gigabytes enough? So then I click another thing. Next thing you know, I subscribe for 200 gigabytes per month. We don't need nearly that much. We don't even need like 200 gigabytes in like 2, 3, 4 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
How much we're recording.
2 gigs per month.
I committed to $40 a month for $40 a month to have like 200 gigabytes. And then I realized after, I'm like, oh my God, that's too much money. It's like, I don't need all that recording space. How can I downgrade the plan?
So you called their customer service?
So I called Zoom the other day, but the guy basically said on the phone, first of all, the customer service, a lot of times what happens when you call customer service is you call, it's impossible to get somebody on the phone. Then you finally do. And then with the situation, I finally got someone on the phone, but then they disconnected. I lost the phone. I lost a phone call. And they didn't have the number to call back or anything. It was all in my hands to take care of the situation. So, I called back. Then I had to spend another 20 minutes to get a real person on the phone because the person was like, oh, this is the wrong department. We're sales. You got to go to billing for this. And I'm like, okay, just get me if someone can help me out. But they couldn't even give me a real answer. I'm like, this sucks. I'm just going to use another podcast platform if this can't be taken care of. I really don't feel like wasting my money. I know it's only $40 this month and I can downgrade, but I appreciate if you could prorate what I paid. I was willing to commit to a whole year subscription of Zoom. And if they could just prorate what I paid for the 200 gigabytes that I don't need. And they're like, oh, we can't do that, but we'll think about it or we'll get back to you. I'll talk to my manager. So literally an hour later, I get an email back saying, as per our conversation, we can't help you out. You subscribed on November 1st. It's already almost the end of November. And they pretty much gave me an answer. So I don't know if he lied to me on the phone. I don't know if he spoke to his manager right after, but there was no appeasing me. I was willing to commit to a whole year of using Zoom. And there's other podcast platforms like Riverside and whatnot. But it's one of those things where they didn't help me out. They said no. They didn't care that I wanted to subscribe for a year. And they gave me a generic email saying, as per our conversations, we can't help you out. But that's, another pet peeve in customer service, pushing back now. But this is a simple request.
So your pet peeve your pet peeve obviously is not just customer service in general. It's your pet peeve is these really the half-assed, apathetic, the people in customer service that do a really poor job. And we've all encountered
that. I always say that when I'm on the phone with customer service, I'm like, I know it's not your fault. I know you're just following orders. I know you guys are likely reading a script, but is there anything you can do for me? Can I speak to a manager? So, I know they're just playing their role. They're doing what they're told to do, and they're working for a company. They want to keep their job. Every call is recorded, and they can't go off script and say, listen, I want to help you out, but they can't, they have to really stay in the zone. So that, those are just things that, little pet peeves, but they there's a theme kind of a little bit, but,
yeah.
I want to start doing a thing every week and every show. If I'm still gambling, but bad gambling beats of the week. So the most recent, this actually goes into customer service because I had to deal with customer service, but my bad gambling beat of the week is there was on FanDuel, it's a sports book. There was a promotion saying if you place a 3-leg parlay, meaning 3-leg parlay, a parlay means you have to have multiple things that need to happen for you to win the bet. All of them have to happen for you to win. That's why the odds are usually really high once you combine all these things. Like this guy has to score 15 points. This guy has to have 6 assists. This team has to win by this amount of points. And if you get all those right, you win more money. It's a parlay. So I did a same game parlay promo for the World Cup. I placed a 3-leg parlay on France money line, France to win the game. One of their best players, Mbappe, to score a goal, and also for there to be over 9.5 corner kicks. So Mbappe scored, France won, but there was 9 corner kicks. I missed it by 0.5 corner kicks.
That's one for Van Pelt.
Yes, exactly. So I was waiting to the end of the game. It was extra time. Excuse me. It was extra time, and I was stuck on 9 corner kicks, and the guy was toward the end line, and the ball went out of bounds. I'm like, what the hell's going on? What the ref? Is it a corner kick? Is it a goal kick? And the ref calls a goal kick. I'm like, oh my God. Like, then the game ends, and I'm like, I didn't hit the parlay. But I hit 2 out of the 3 legs. And one of the things with the parlay was if you hit 2 out of the 3 legs of the parlay, they'll give you a free bet. Whatever you bet up to a certain amount, they'll give you the free bet. So this particular bet, I bet $13. And I think I would have won like $70 or something like that. But I never got credited the free bet. And it's been a couple of days now. It's supposed to be in your account within 72 hours. So today I contact FanDuel's customer service. I'm like, what's going on? Why don't I have my free bet? So a friend of mine needed the same bet. He has his free bet. And then the customer service person is telling me, send us a screenshot of the promotion. I'm like, send you a screenshot of the promotion. Like, I'm busy right now. It's your company. Can't you find out what exactly I bet on and what bet I opted into? Because you have to opt into these promos to be eligible for them. So I opted into it. So like I had to find the screenshot of the bet. I'm like, how do you find the screenshot? I was at a movie. I was at the Fablemans. The movie was about to start. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? I just want to get this taken care of. So long story short is, I didn't read the fine print of this parlay promo. Right. I had to have at least plus 400 odds. I had plus 358 odds. I missed it by like 42 points. And it literally was a difference between like something so minute and so small, but I didn't have plus 400. So she's like, sorry, you didn't have plus 400 odds. You had plus 358. And then I'm thinking, this is such an inconvenience and stuff. Like, can they give me like a $5 bet instead? Because I was supposed to get a $13 bet back. They didn't give me any bets back, and that goes in hand in hand with the customer service thing, which I said. I'm like, I'm going to go to another sports book. There's a lot of competition out there. I'm just going to go to another sports book. I mean, I know that technically I didn't read the fine print. I didn't do the right odds. I know I was in the wrong in this situation, but it was the fact that I had to find the screenshot of the exact bet. They couldn't figure that out. Then I missed it by such a small margin. And it was just one of those things. It was just a bad gambling beat. And that's my bad gambling beat of the week. If they had one more corner kick, then I would have won. I never would have been on the phone with customer service. I never would have been looking for my free bet. So it's just one of those things, But
let me just ask you this: did you bet more than you could afford to lose?
No, absolutely not.
Good. I always want to reiterate that for anybody out there listening too. That's important. I got something I want to ask you. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, and we're going to embark in the next 4 or 5 weeks on the holiday season, and what it means and what it used to mean and how people feel, and because it's not a given that it's all cheery and everything like that. For a lot of folks, they struggle during this time of year. What's your overall feel about like not only just yesterday, like Thanksgiving, but the holiday season and how it compares and contrasts like real life to the thing that gets me a lot of times are these TV commercials that come on and everybody's hunky-dory and lovey-dovey and everything's great and the beautiful commercials of families getting together and people hugging each other and just everything is pristine and lovely. And that's just not how it shakes out a lot of times for a lot of folks. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I love the holidays. I love the weather gets a little bit colder and there's going to be snow.
Mhm.
Christmas season. My birthday's also right around Thanksgiving. I like the lights. I like the decorations. But when you're with your family, there's usually some dysfunction. There's usually some fighting and whatnot. So it kind of kills the spirit a lot. I'll just say this. I'm not going to go into detail, but my birthday was the day before Thanksgiving, and
Right.
I was somewhere around my birthday, around Thanksgiving. I'm not going to go into detail here, but someone got a birthday cake that was supposed to be for me. But they didn't tell me that it was someone else's birthday coming up after my birthday, like a couple days later. And they
Right.
said, okay, you have to share the cake. I'm like, okay, I'll share the cake. There's other people here. That's fine.
Sure.
Whatever. Because every year I get a Carvel ice cream birthday cake. So I'm like, okay. So they put a couple candles in. They sing happy birthday to both of us. And I'm not really like super close to the other person who I was sharing my cake with and the whole like blowing the candles out. But I was like, okay, I'll just go with this. So I had to make a wish, blow out the candles, make sure I didn't blow out all the candles. And it was just awkward for me.
Right.
And then they had other desserts available, and I didn't have any of the other desserts. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, I'm not really hungry for this cake right now. I'll have a little bit, but I'm going to bring a slice home. If I can't bring the whole cake home, I'm going to bring a slice home later. And I thought that would
Damn,
be fine.
damn
When
straight.
it comes time to bring the slice home, the person who bought the cake got mad at me for asking if I could bring a slice home.
This
They
is your
call
birthday cake.
it was supposed to be, well, every year I have my own birthday cake. So this year was a whole different thing. Like I said, the last
Well, even
episode,
though you split it, it was still you're asking to take a chunk of
yeah, I just wanted to take.
of
I
a
wasn't
birthday
asking
cake
for a
that was your
chunk,
part
and
of your birthday
I
cake,
know
right?
there was over half the cake left, at
Right.
least half the cake left,
Hmm.
and I just want to take a little slice. And the person is saying, "Oh, it's going to melt on your way home." And so I want to give this to so and so, and I'm like,
Wow.
we're celebrating Thanksgiving. We're supposed to be thankful for all these things. It was my birthday,
That's right.
right around the time of Thanksgiving. I didn't request the cake. I didn't request anything special. All I want to do is bring a slice home. And you talk about, the holidays and everyone's supposed to be nice and grateful and thankful and cheery. And then this happens where I can't even bring a piece of birthday cake home. I know it was made out of ice cream, but if it melted, it melted. That was my problem. So, it's just one of those things I felt like, bringing up on the show and just saying it annoyed me without giving who the person was, the details, if they're a family, if they're a friend. Is your opinion on the situation the same as mine? Are you like, why couldn't I take a slice? Why couldn't he take a slice of cake home?
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I don't know anybody or know the people involved, and I'm sure everybody's good people everywhere,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
kind of thing here, because you get involved with this, that it does seem a little bit weird. If it were a situation where it was just a general cake, or and you said, hey, let me take,
Exactly.
but even then, what the hell? We're fam here, aren't we? We're, that kind of thing. But this is, even though you was half the cake, let's say half the cake was yours because you agreed to share it, you want to take a chunk home with you. I mean, what the hell is the, and I don't see where your request was outlandish.
Okay. No, I
I
appreciate you
just
backing me up
don't.
on this.
I don't. And like
Um,
I said, I don't know everybody, and anything that I've only had little indirect, um, with some of the folks there that I always seem like nice folks and everything. So I don't know, I'll have all the answers, this and that, but that maybe it was just maybe it was just, this is what I'm talking about, um, that you watch, and I think a lot of times it's the commercials or these movies on, with, what do the ladies watch, the Hallmark Channel or Lifetime or this kind of thing, where you get these irrational expectations of what the holidays are supposed to be, and it all looks good on the screen, the TV commercials and the movies and everything. It all looks good, but it's not reality. And if you know that going in, you can work through it. But a lot of folks, they really have problems between, Thanksgiving and the first of the year, because not just because of the commercials, but because sometimes this time of year is really tough for folks. It really is. I mean, I have situation where I just, sometimes it gets to me because Christmas isn't what it used to be. And I find myself, I know you have to live in the moment and you can't look back in this, but it's easier said than done. And a lot of times, this time of year, it's like you think about the Christmases past and the people who, in your family who are gone, and it's just tough. It's just tough sometimes. And you try to work through it. Everyone goes through it. But sometimes I think and when you're a kid, Christmas is magical, you know. And
You're saying it's glorified in the media and online and commercials and
in
TV and movies.
advertising, yeah, and that
It's
kind of a
all cheery,
thing.
but then here's what I'll say,
They
just
don't
to
show you the ass end
defend
of it.
defend a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
You will see in these funny Christmas holiday movies, you'll see the dysfunction of the families. It's very clear. They do show that, but when they're showing commercials and stuff, they're not going to always show the dysfunction because they don't have time to. It's just like, let's promote Christmas. Let's get people to go out and shop. It's all about making money. It's the season. It's a moneymaker. You know, the holidays are moneymakers. So.
Although, Sean, I had to say, there was a commercial on the other day. There was a commercial yesterday. I have to give them credit. I think it was one of these insurance companies. I think it was maybe the one with the cute girl, Progressive, maybe. You know, I forget the name of the girl, the act, but they have always had.
Did they do a scene from the Christmas Story? The poll
No, this was something or other. By this, they're saying, but this time, today, and it's Thanksgiving, and this happened, that happened, and of course now it was probably time for the family debate. I saw two guys, and one guy strangling the other guy.
All right, so they kind of get it. They get
yeah. So sometimes it's but it's just one of those things that this time of year can really spur up a lot of emotions in people, and
so
things aren't always great.
We're gonna end this show here very soon. I'm glad everyone's still tuned in and still listening. Joe, we just did a show on Monday, but have you had any cheat meals since Monday?
Let me see.
Tuesday. Even if it's not a cheat meal, what's like one, like isn't today your Friday thing, or what you get, like a sandwich on Fridays or sub?
No, well, it's a semi cheat. It's a little Friday chippy, maybe I call it. It's because it's I would do a turkey sandwich, and we say turkey after I love turkey, and so I got turkey and provolone, with a little bit of mayo on marble rye from Wawa. It always tastes better from Wawa. I don't know how. With extra meat, I always get double meat, right? And I do the cheese crackers, the little peanut butter and cheese crackers with it, big Philly soft pretzel. And that doesn't sound like much, but it's enjoyable. I love it. And it's not that bad. None of this stuff is so bad, really bad so far, right? So you got the sandwich, a little bit of mayo, not a lot. You got some cheese. Provolone's not that bad. And you got the peanut butter crackers. And you've got the soft pretzel, which is okay. Some people can get really crazy. Oh, it's carbs. Oh, yeah, it is carbs, but come on. All right. It's not bacon and then for dessert, a little bit decadent, but not too big. Wawa, and from their bakery, the big chocolate chip cookies. Just so I call it a little semi chippy. It's not a big fall off the wagon, so to speak. But it's a little something, So, as far as the cheat meals, though, I can't report on anything. Talk to me in a few days, and it's going to change. I promise you. But I've already got my football Sunday thing all. It's not anything fancy. I'm not going to give it away. I'll wait till when we have another show, Monday or Tuesday. You can ask me what I did for Sunday cheat meal or whatever. It's not a real expensive thing at all, but it's something that I've just always loved, and it's something very simple but good, damn good. But I'm a simple kind of guy. I don't have to have pheasant under glass. I don't have to have filet mignon, this and that.
You enjoy the little things in life, and simple pleasures. And if music,
that's right.
If music makes you feel a certain way, you like certain music. Food makes you feel a certain way, you like certain food. It's a personal preference on your food and music type thing. You might go out and talk about describing the Wawa and the details, and everyone might be like, this guy. Someone might be listening. They're like, I just had caviar. I just had a de-shell lobster. I just had a deconstructed whatever. It's like, and this guy's talking about fucking like Wawa, like it's a fucking 5-star restaurant. If that guy, all things, I would tell that guy, fuck off, because let Joe, Mr. Thurman, enjoy his cheat meals, enjoy his simple pleasures in life. And I'm sure a large percentage of our audience, I know some people do, because some people have asked me, like, ask Joe more about his cheat meals and his food, because you get really passionate about it. So
sure.
I appreciate you sharing.
And thanks. And you know what? Let me just make something clear too, that if we were to sit down and you're saying, hey man, I've got a nice chunk of filet mignon here with some au jus, and I've got some more gratin potatoes that are. Hey, let's rock and roll. I'm hip. I'm hip. I'm not going to say I don't. But what I'm saying is, I'm a father's son. If you knew my old man, I mean, it's just the way he, just we, and really with food, sometimes the simpler the better. And sometimes there are folks that come from a lot of ritzy backgrounds and a lot of, recherche and this kind of thing. But then they turn around and they enjoy. They say, "Wow, I never knew this was that good." I never. So it's not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works the other way around too. And
So I just want to end the show on this real quick. We didn't talk about a ton about our teams today, and that's okay. Not every show is going to be heavy on sports and specifically about our teams.
No, as a matter of fact,
I know that the Cowboys
nice break is refreshing.
The Cowboys did beat the Giants on Thanksgiving yesterday. They didn't make it easy for the fans. Dak threw a couple of interceptions in the first half, and it was one of those things where, the Cowboys always make things interesting. But I'll just quickly ask you, Joe. The Eagles are playing the Packers Sunday night. Aaron Rodgers versus the Eagles. Eagles I believe, are 9-1 right now. The Cowboys are 8-3. If they lose to the Packers, man, are you a little bit scared of the Cowboys?
I'm scared of the Cowboys now. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I think I don't think they're better than us yet, but I think they can beat us. I think they can. And especially what's got me concerned is the way that we've been playing the Eagles have been playing the last 3 weeks. So I need to see them. I'm tired of excuses, man. I'm tired of all. I told you last, I'm tired of we just weren't really ready for the Texans. We couldn't get up for that game. And we had a long layoff and blah, blah, blah. And then, we had to lose our first game to someone. We just weren't sharp. We had some mistakes. We fumbled the ball. That's all true. But every week, the last 3 weeks, it's been I'm tired of it. I need to see them kick it back into gear and to show me they're the team that they were the first 8 games of the season. Okay. But I am concerned about Dallas. Now, that being said about Dallas, do I think they're 40-3 better than Minnesota? Hell no, not by any stretch of the imagination. They were that day. And then they showed you for damn near 3 quarters yesterday that they're not infallible. They're susceptible to some things here.
Did you see that one pass to CeeDee Lamb in the end zone that everyone, they had to review it to see if it was a touchdown? Did you happen to see that by any chance?
Let me see which one.
It was. I'll put it, CeeDee Lamb thought he caught a touchdown, and he made.
Yeah. The heel.
They said the heel. They had the toe down. Apparently you have to have the heel down too. So it's like that was a hell of a catch. It's just a shame to see that not be a touchdown because it was a spectacular catch. And
it was a hell of a good catch, but you also. I saw in the opening drive when they took it, and I'm just saying, I really am saying, if I'm a referee and I'm watching the game and I'm watching the offensive line to make sure that on a passing play, one of these offensive linemen doesn't get downfield, and he's got 1 foot, literally 1 shoe over the line, and it's 30 yards away from the play, and he gets right back. So he was only over that for a split second, and I could look the other way because it didn't have anything to do with the play at all. I can't blow the whistle and take a touchdown away from the Giants because of that. Now, if he's 5 yards downfield, even 3 yards downfield, I got to blow the whistle. I got to throw the flag. So that was very weird. So they took a touchdown from the Giants. They settled for a field goal. There's 4 points. And if you fast forward into the third quarter, there was one play. Everyone in the United States of America who knows what the hell a football shaped like saw this play where it was a drive killer. It was 3rd and 12 for the Cowboys. And he hits, Dak goes to hit, and it was like at the 20-yard line. So if they don't convert the third down, they're going to have to settle for a field goal, right? He sees, down the hash mark, down the seam, he sees CeeDee Lamb. He throws it. It's 3 yards over his head. It wasn't going to be caught. They go back and they call some phantom play on that D-back that was covering CeeDee Lamb on the play. A foot off the line of scrimmage, he brushed up against him. And even the announcer said, I don't see any hold there. What the hell? I don't know. And one of the announcers, bear in mind, is a former referee, and he goes, "No, I can't see it there either. I don't know." Now that was a third and get off the field type of. Now what happened was they called him for 5 yards. They give him 5 yards, an automatic first down. It keeps the drive alive. They wind up scoring a touchdown. They get 7 points instead of 3. There's another 4 points. There's 4 points on one end, 4 points at the other end. The difference in the game, 8 points. Really weird. But anyway, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And look, Dallas is better than the Giants. There's no two ways about it. This Giants team, though, you better watch them. We all better watch them because they're sneaky. But yeah, I need to see the Eagles start playing more like they did the first 8 weeks. And if they do, I think they can handle the Cowboys. If the Eagles don't get back to where they were, they're going to have problems with the Cowboys.
We'll have another episode. Likely today's Friday night. We'll probably be recording our next episode on Monday night, the day after most of the NFL games have taken place, probably during Monday Night Football or even after it. But we'll have post-game reactions to at least the Eagles game. And we'll have more in-depth analysis about some other sports.
Yes.
But tonight's show, I thought the time, we're right around an hour or so. So we're going to wrap it up. But I just want to say I'm happy everyone's listening. You stuck with us. I believe this is the 6th episode. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on TuneIn Radio. I'm on Twitter at SeanMatthew13. I'm on Instagram at SeanMatthew13. I'm also doing food reviews. I'm releasing those slow. I'm more focused on the podcast right now. But I'm really happy everyone listening has listened and keeps listening. Joe, I'm so happy to have you as a co-host. I'm so appreciative. Thank you for another show.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here with you.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.